Welcome to the Empire One Show, where knowledge meets action. Yeah, we break down barriers to financial literacy. Speak truth to power, real conversations. Oh, voices that inspire change, challenging the status quo. Tools for building wealth, taking control. Your future starts right now. This is the Empire Winning Show. Empowerment starts now.
All right, good evening. Well, it's 6 o'clock, and welcome to the Empowerment Show. My name is Kendall Stevenson. I am your host for this evening. Always, we like to start off by having something to be grateful for. Well, yesterday, found out that a good person has transitioned. He dedicated his life, and I can say he dedicated his life. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when I was a kid, he was out barn marching and stomping and making sure, protesting. He was out there doing his thing, and he transitioned yesterday. We're talking about Jesse Jackson. So for Mr. Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson, I'm take my hat off and give you a moment of silence, please. All right. Now, we don't have so many leaders within our community. And we have to learn how to respect and give flowers to those that we do. The ones that we do have in our community, they try to uplift our community. They try to bring our community together. They try to teach us and educate us in so many different ways. This evening, I have one of those people that 20 years from now, they be talking about it. That will be our Black History. So for Black History Month, I'd like to introduce a young lady. Here she comes. Hello, Miss Sanders, and how are you?
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for coming on the show. You know, I really, really appreciate it. We hunt each other down for quite a while.
Yes,
But
yes.
you're here, and I am so absolutely glad that you are here. Yeah, as I was saying, we don't have that many heroes that look like us, or heroines, which other way people want to put it. You know, I mean, semantics, right? But people like yourself are willing to give so much of yourself to your community. And it's been proven over and over again about who you are and what you do. I would say it's not about the words that people speak, because I listen to a lot of people and they talk this and they talk that. To me, it's all about the action. What do they actually do? How are you supposed to help the community? What is it that you're doing to help the community? When you look in the mirror, you can say, hey, I've done this, and I'm proud of myself. And then your family, when they look at you, they say, hey, look at you. If you have grandkids, they'll say, during that time period, Grandma, what was you doing? And you can say, I was doing wonderful things. I'm going to give you 1 second, and I'm going to roll you right in, because I want to introduce you, kind of let people get a feel for who you are and what you do. So hang out with me for just one quick second, okay?
Empowerment Initiative in Stroudsburg. Cherise Sanders and her team say welcome home, dedicating their space to women who may not have the most ideal home life.
I'm just here to help other women pretty much notice their worth.
Sanders created the one-stop shop for women's services after living through a time where she didn't see her own self-worth.
I can't possibly be the only other woman or the only woman in East Stroudsburg looking for, support services, who feel like, suicidal, who's going through a divorce.
Out of her own struggles, she created the Rebirth Project, offering programs focused on food insecurity, mental health services, and job readiness programs, providing women throughout Monroe County who have been previously incarcerated or coming out of rehab with the tools to improve their mental, physical, and spiritual well-being.
Out of those kind of situations, they have to start over. So that's a new life that they're starting to live from that day one. And we want to celebrate the new life.
Now look at that. As I said, she's been on the scene, and when we talk Black history, one day we will be talking about her. We'll be putting her right alongside some of those other Black famous people that got up and went out and did things for the community. So tell us about yourself. I'm gonna give you that opportunity. I know I played the little clip, but let's hear it from you. Who are you?
Oh, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the show today. I am honored. I will be honest, from jump. Okay. And the truth of the matter is, I don't do it for the accolades. Okay. It's not about, who notices or who doesn't notice. It's about the simple fact that there was a time where I was in a place, a really dark place. I was feeling like I didn't want to be here anymore. I was having suicidal ideologies. I was depressed. Okay. I had just lost my job. I was suffering from significant health issues and concerns. I was going through a divorce, and there were so many things coming down on me. And when I went looking for services, like I said in the clip, when I went looking for services in Monroe County, there were none. And there absolutely weren't any that spoke to me being a middle-aged African-American woman, and so I got to the point where it was like, okay, I can't possibly be the only woman out here feeling like this. So where do all the other women go? Where are all these women and stuff? And I said, well, you know what? If I can't find that space, then I'll create that space, and out of my own pain and trying to find a space for my own healing, Metamorphosis was born. I created the Metamorphosis Women's Empowerment Initiative to be able to bring women together, to support each other, to advocate for each other, to be able to say, hey, listen, you don't have to go through this alone. Exchange resources and let them know that there is a place where they can go and actually have a voice and have someone hear them. A lot of times we're not allowed to be heard, we're not seen. And when we say we want you to acknowledge that we exist, it's sort of like, oh, stop complaining. You're good. Stop complaining. It's all in your head. But the truth of the matter is, when you're coming apart and the seams of your stitching of your life is falling apart, and you're looking for that needle and thread to make that stitch to hold it all together, and you can't find it, you need somewhere like Metamorphosis. Be able to walk through the door, sit on the sofa, and just speak to another woman, or have someone greet you and say, welcome home, you're amongst family, and give you a hug. And that's what Metamorphosis is all about. We're about empowering women to the point where when they become self-sufficient, we've helped them through their situations. We work with them to, address their challenges and face them head on. Then they can move on and empower someone else, and the truth of the matter is, if you empower a woman, she'll empower the relationship that she's in. Together, her and her partner will empower their children. As a family unit, they will empower their community, and then communities will come together and empower our society. So it's necessary for us to make sure that we're creating solid foundations and positive social outlets for women to be able to come and grow and learn and just bloom and blossom into the roses they're supposed to be.
Okay, wow. Malcolm X, I think he said it best. He said that the black woman in this country is probably the most disrespected woman on the planet. What I find when people disrespect you in that type of a manner, it's not that they are disrespecting you, it's that they fear you. They fear the power that you have in you. You understand? I want to
Mhm.
ask, within your organization, when people come into the door, I'm assuming that's the way we come in. Do you have people that are bilingual or at least multilingual? Because I'm sure you get women of all walks of life that come in.
Actually, yeah, we do have women of all walks of life that walk in, and walk in for different reasons. So I'll give you the official introduction to Metamorphosis. We're a nonprofit organization. We're stationed in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. We're at 804 Sarah Street, Pennsylvania. Um, and we work with women from all different walks of life, all different ethnicities, backgrounds, educational backgrounds, financial backgrounds, and stuff, helping them through challenges with food insecurities, job readiness, mental and physical health and wellness, as well as support services for women who were previously incarcerated. Um, and in doing that job, we have to we have to be mindful that no matter what color, race, how much money you have, education, what country you come from, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all women. That's the commonality. We're all women. Um, we've been put on this earth for a special purpose. And unfortunately, no shade to men, but there are certain things that women can do and have to do that men cannot do. And as a woman, I do feel like it's somewhat of a responsibility of mine to not only support the generations, excuse me, not only support the generations that were ahead of me through, transitioning through their life stages, but also support those generations that are coming up behind me, to teach them what it is and what it means to actually be a woman, what kind of power you have as a woman, you know, the things that you can do, the mountains you can move, and that your voice speaks volumes and life into people. And that's what I aim to do. I aim to speak life into people, because a lot of people don't want to be here. Times are hard, things are changing, and it's already sad enough that in the past we had to struggle so hard just to get simple things, you know and then at the moment when we're celebrating that as women we are able to have these things and sit in these positions and pull the chair out at these tables, we're being stripped of that. Once again, we're back on the battlefield trying to get the recognition that we feel like we deserve.
I know that up until the mid '70s, a woman couldn't get a credit card. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't. In today's time, I guess they don't realize that how difficult women have had it throughout the years. Um, to me, like we spoke before, and I tell you that I'm all for the empowerment of women. I think that's very, very important. But to me, the most important is the empowerment of families. So, but I do realize that, being that you come from the earth, and Garden of Eden is, we call it Mother Earth, right? I understand that because of the nurturing that you need. But I think in order to have a total, the picture to be totally like they say, to be total, right? I think that comes from family, and that the family will build the strong organization. The family will build walls like we built in Zambia, and like the Great Wall of Zambia is bigger than the wall that they have in China, stronger than that. We can build bigger and stronger families. This way, everyone gets a little piece of the pie. The man gets a piece of the pie. The woman gets a piece of the pie, and this way, there's no division. Because, like I was telling you, the women back in the '70s, and especially in the early '70s, they weren't allowed to get a credit card. Well, also during that time period, a lot of Black men couldn't get a job. Jobs were scarce. I kind of think that was done on purpose. Jobs were down, education was down, Vietnam, the war was up. A lot of the brothers, they were shipping them off to war, leaving the woman home to kind of handle everything. Because as an African American, even during that time, we didn't get many benefits, even as veterans. We didn't get a whole lot of benefits. So, and then when we came home, there were no jobs to get. So that kind of made it harder for the African American family. Though somebody had to step up in order to make things done. Some of the kids, like if they were the only ones in the family, let's say you were the older brother in the family, you went out, robbed, steal, did whatever you had to do to take care of the home. The woman, she did whatever she had to do to kind of keep things in control, but it was kind of hard. You working 2 jobs and you coming home to try to take care of the kids, cooking the bacon, as they say, bringing the money home. But I think a lot of things that have happened to us are done by design. They're done systemically to break up our family. And this is why I hear today, you got to hear today, if a woman is talking about empowering or lifting, or it's almost like they exclude the men and the family because they power. And then the men, when they do it, they do the same thing, power. What happened to the family?
Well, I honestly believe in family. I think a strong family unit, a functional family unit is necessary. It's necessary for us to have functional and fruitful communities. I don't believe that women's empowerment means that we live in a world without men. That's absolutely ludicrous. Women cannot have babies by themselves, and you're going to hear people say, "Hey, there's artificial insemination and all this kind of stuff." The bottom line is, you still got to get that semen from a man, okay? But outside of that, there's nothing like having a partner, someone to support you in your growth through your life. And the same thing with a man. He needs a woman that's going to stand behind him and support him. And together they need to grow. If you're with someone who you guys are in 2 different places, if your ideology of life are not aligned, if your feelings about child rearing is not aligned, you know what I'm saying? And there's a competition going on between the 2 of you in your relationship. What's going to happen with your family when you have children? This is why we have so many dysfunctional households, because usually, or many times, you will find that sometimes people are just having babies without realizing who they're having those babies with. They're creating families without understanding the person that they're having family with. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of times people are grasping onto people, okay? They're connecting themselves to people who they shouldn't be connected to, but if you don't take the time to learn about yourself and what's good for you, what's not good for you, what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, and what you need. How can I possibly tell the person that I'm looking to have as a partner what it is I need to grow, and find out from him what it is he needs to grow, and grow together, if we're never talking, if we don't get to learn about each other. So I think, unfortunately, historically, we were put in positions to have to go alone, divide and conquer from the beginning. Okay. Men were removed out of the house, whether it was to the fields, to the military, or to prison. We still have the same thing today. It's in a different aspect, whether it's them being incarcerated, especially in the Black and brown communities. If men are out incarcerated, they're out of the house. They can't have a say so in a house that they're not participating in because they're somewhere else. So the survival instinct becomes different. And then when they come home, there's a new dynamic. Now there's a new dynamic. And if there were children, depending on the ages of those children, when he might have left the house, those kids have grown up not knowing who this person is. So technically there's a stranger in the house and they're getting to know that stranger again. And even though, mom is going, this is your dad, this is your father, it's kind of like, okay, I get that biologically, but what does that mean physically or mentally or emotionally? Where's that connection that should have been developed over all those years that he was out of the house? So, it's not surprising that we have a lot of turmoil home, which we take out of our house outside. And then there's turmoil outside in the community, because we haven't learned how to deal with our inner issues. And a lot of times, what do? We transpose those onto someone else or into another situation or something of that sort, so that we're not feeling pain, because hurt people hurt people.
Let me ask you. So, do you think that we're moving more like in a microwave type of relationships? If you're in, you're out, quick. They want everything laid out so quick, and the kids, I don't know why they seem to have problems staying within a steady relationship. Not all. Do you think that maybe because of what's being projected throughout the media, what they watch in the movies, the way that they see, and the price? You know how much it is to have a kid nowadays? You know how much it costs to have a wedding? But yet prices are not, your jobs are not going up, right? The amount of money that you got coming into you. So you think that may also be a way of deterring from the youth actually starting to build a relationship so that they can grow and have a healthy family? Because a healthy family is like a tree. It starts off as one little nub in the ground, right? And another branch grows and another branch until all of a sudden you got a full-blown tree. But if you start cutting the branches off, the tree's not going to grow. So I say that to say, how are we going to plant these seeds properly? Because at this point, I'm an elder, right? And you look like you're getting to be an elder. You're getting close to there or something. I'm old as dirt. So, but I believe it's our responsibilities as the elders, because I like to listen to my ancestors and see what they had to talk about. We talked about El Kibalon. I told you that was the original name, right? So I kind of go back and try to listen to what my ancestors said back then and try to see if I can get a little bit of advice as to what I need to put forth nowadays to help our families, which means helping our youth, which means helping our women, which means holding hands, pulling one up, not pulling down, but taking, hey, I see you're slipping, so let me just give you another little helping hand to get us all over the wall. Yeah, I'm not saying we should all be tribal, but I know we're not all monolithic, but it's got to come to a point where certain things have to be the same. Education. All right, everybody needs to be educated. I don't think we should be telling our children, hey, college is not for everybody. And they tell that to a 16, 17-year-old. By the time they get 18, they don't want to go to school anymore anyway. So now you just gave them an excuse not to go, instead of encouraging them to at least try it out. A lot of us don't realize college is actually easier than high school. It really is. I had so much more leeway and time to do what I wanted to do in college than than the routine of high school. That was difficult.
For me, okay. So for me, family is 100% on the top of my list. My dad is now like 86. And the one thing I can say is, I've sat and listened to my father tell the stories about he grew up in the South, and growing up in the South, he's watched, oh my gosh, when I say he's lived through racism at its finest, put it that way, watched his friends get snatched out of their group at 9 and 10 years old and disappear, and they never see him again by, the police, or see people get beaten, at lies, things like that. But just living through things that we can only imagine or can't even imagine what it must have been like to have to live through that, to have someone walk through your house and violate your right to protection in your home and your privacy. There wasn't much of that in a Black community where he grew up, and the thing is, when I hear all of those stories, when he's telling us about how his childhood was, and I think about what strides he made moving from deep in the South of South Carolina to New York City to raise his children in an environment that was a little bit more color friendly. Let's be realistic. Okay.
Okay. Okay. I didn't grow up in the South. I have a lot of family from far South Carolina, but I don't know, man. I remember when I was younger as a teenager, I had a problem dating girls or whatever because I'm a little darker than a paper bag, and I could tell you some racist stuff that was going on right up here in New York City, right in New York. I mean, I'm born, raised from Brooklyn. And I'm just telling you, yeah, racism was strong. That boy that was running across, you may have heard about it. The kid was out in Kings Highway or Kings Plaza they have up there, right? And the kid was got chased by some other the Caucasian kids with baseball bats, ran across the highway and got killed. Yeah, wow. I mean, there's Eleanor Bumpers. We can start with Eleanor Bumpers. I mean, racism. I would say racism is like this. Racism is not where you are. It's kind of what they do where they are. So, yeah. I mean, you could be in New York City, or you could be down south, way down, deep down into the South. You got racism all over, man. Racism is definitely a disease. But what we going to do?
But I could also say, though, that my childhood growing up in New York, even though I grew up in the projects, I grew up on 113th Street in Lexington, in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see what my dad saw, but I do see what my daughter's going through in this time, and it's as if we're kind of going backwards. The clock is turning back a little bit. And I've seen what my daughter goes through, on her job at times, with racism on the job, and just, she's well educated, Howard University graduate, you know what I'm saying? She does well. She's a high achiever, and stuff. Recommendations from her job, but then you have that one person on the job that just doesn't like her skin tone and doesn't want to see her succeed or do well. So they block, but I don't want to make this, I don't want to make it about racism, because the truth of the matter is metamorphosis. I try to structure metamorphosis where I don't have to deal with that, because to be quite honest, racism is a big topic in Metamorphosis because I am a Black-owned organization. You know, I'm an African American woman, you know, and it's very hard for me at times to put aside who I am, my experience, what I go through to help someone else. But I try to do so by I try to look at, you know, I try to look at things from a different set of eyes, from a
Mhm.
different point of view, you know, and you have to. There's no way I would be able to do what I do, okay, without looking through a different set of eyes. Because majority of the clients that I service are not African American.
Mm.
They're Caucasian.
Well, you know the environment that you're in. It's the
Yeah,
environment that you're in. I mean,
you know,
especially out here where we live at, when they talk about that 13% and who's in that 13th percentile, just take a look in the mirror. But we're gonna pick this right back up in about another minute or so because I still got to pay the bills. Okay, so see you in a
absolutely.
minute.
A doctor's calling, a company's mission, united for a greater good. When Edmark International, the pioneers of wellness, joined forces with Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, naturopath, the world gained a new weapon in the fight for true health. Co-created, science-backed, nature-powered. This isn't just a product. This is a movement. Born from decades of groundbreaking research, naturopathic mastery, and Edmark's relentless innovation.
The body wants to heal itself, and we have just given it the ultimate toolkit.
A detox unlike any other. A partnership unlike any other. The future of health starts now.
All right. Well, I see we're back. My dog decided to come over and say hello to me.
Hey.
He's a big old guy. He's a big old guy. At my spray. Okay, his name is Kume. I guess you can see him. Come here. Come on up there, big guy. He's a big guy. Now he doesn't want to say hello.
Aw.
And you see him?
Yeah, he looks just
Yeah.
like, he looks
This
just
is
like
Kume.
mine.
Yeah,
Same
his name is Kume.
thing. He looks just like her.
Do
My
you have
range,
a visa?
yeah, she's
Is
a.
a visa?
Now I have a pit. She's a mix between a pit and a Lever lab.
Okay.
She
This
big.
guy looks just like a Wormerheimer. You know, he looks he's a little German, big old dog. Okay, get down. Enough. That was Kume's introduction. Kume is Swahili. It means friend. That's what it means. Particularly when you're pertaining to pets.
Yeah.
If you name that your pet. Anyone else is like that's your right hand. Like if I called you Kume, it's because like you would be my right hand, somebody I depend upon. For an animal, it means friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So let me bring you back to that woman's empowerment and that
Yeah.
strength of that woman and that strength of building a better and stronger family. Because what I've learned about family is if you have a strong family, there's no organization in the world that can defeat you. You become one of the strongest organizations known to man. It's family. Now, we already know the divide and conquer. Willie Lynch kind of helped us along with that too. It was one of those things that he wanted to teach us. He wanted to teach them how to make a better slave, was to divide up the family. Take the man out, take the woman out, make the one put the collar against the child, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do, like people like yourself and people like myself, we're trying to bring that family unit back together.
Absolutely.
We're trying to make that family stronger. If you got strong family, then you can build a strong community. You can't build a strong community without having strong people within the community. That means family, right? So you can't have one, right? Oh, we're so strong and you're so weak, and we can't. Like again, we got to have that one hand and the other pulling up. If one starts to rise, then you got to pull them up. I know of a young lady and a young man. They decided to have a child. Everything was going to go through, and they were going to have this beautiful relationship. Well, the woman excelled financially. She went to college, she started excelling and doing really good things. He didn't do so well. He took the layman's way, and he wasn't making as much money. They ended up not staying together because he was pissed that she made more money than he did. He couldn't handle it. His pride just wouldn't let him handle it. I said, look, if you don't like the situation, you can always go back to school, brother. You can learn another trade, or maybe take on 2 jobs. Or if it were me and my wife was making more money than me, I'd probably be very happy, because that means half. we can. I can keep half my money in my pocket. Yeah, but that means that I can keep a little bit more in my pocket, because we can split everything else, right? So for me, I'm happy. That makes me a proud man. So, but I really don't like the destruction of the family and the way we've grown to be dysfunctional.
Well, I believe so. For me, like I said, remember in the beginning, I said if you empower a woman, she empowers the relationship she's in, and together they empower the family. And my programs and services are based on that. You know, um, we service both men and women, through our emergency food service, the Everybody Eats Project. And it is necessary to make sure that, your family's primary needs are met. Food, cleanliness, things like that, housing, making sure you have a roof over your head, a way to take a shower, and things like that. Being able to get around, and employment and stuff like that. So, metamorphosis, we take the approach that we may not be able to solve every single problem. We know this. No one organization can solve everybody's problems. But if we can begin to help identify where those challenges are, and then put a process in place where we can start to sort of peel back the layers of the onion, you know what I'm saying? So that we can, one thing at a time, kind of eliminate those challenges. We can start to break that cycle of poverty. So one of the things that we do is, like, let's say if someone comes into Metamorphosis for Everybody Eats, we have that conversation with those family members, find out, how did you get here? What happened prior to? What kind of resources do you have? What kind of support do you have? Do you have family here? Are you out here on your own? Are you married or single? Things like that. And then based on our conversations with them in a private space during their appointment, we refer them to other programs that we have. So, perfect example, a woman comes in, she needs food. She discloses to us that, she was in a DV relationship, a domestic violence relationship and stuff. She had to leave her home, really quickly. No food, no money, but she has her children, nowhere to go. Okay. Metamorphosis steps in and says, hey, okay, this is what we could do for you. We'll put together a plan with you, figure out where it is that we can kind of address some of your issues. We'll give you food so that you and your children are eating. Okay. We have a program that get into a shelter, into or temporary housing, for however long we can keep them there, so we can find them a permanent space. Okay. We do case management with that. Okay. We help them get jobs. We do job readiness, with them. We go through their resume. We find out what their skills are. We make calls on their behalf. We do letters of recommendation. We put a lot of time into them. And then sometimes, we'll find that that person might have a criminal background history. Well, we have the Rebirth Project, which literally addresses the concerns and the challenges that come along with having a criminal background history. So what we're doing is trying to make sure that we're touching all the bases so that they can get a fresh start, you know? And like our rebirth project, I love rebirth. I really do. And the reason I love rebirth is because there's nothing like helping someone start the process to get a pardon from the governor so that those criminal charges are wiped off their record, you know? And that, you know what that does? When your background history is cleared, you now can apply for credit. You can get a job that's going to pay a livable wage. You know what I'm saying? You can get an apartment to put your family, you and your children. Okay? It keeps you out of harm's way, out in inclement weathers like we're having below zero on the street, you know? But it also minimizes the amount of interaction you're having with the police, you know, all the things that quote unquote our communities are prone for, okay, in the cycle of poverty. We're working to help that cycle of poverty through our programs and services. So we spend a lot of time with our clients. Many times, the first visit, when a client first walks in my office, their first visit is about 2 or 3 hours because it's just us sitting there talking with them, trying to find out where they are, and us meeting them where they are. You know, no judgment, no pointing fingers, none of that. Just kind of like, you know what? You have someone to help you. You have someone in your corner. We're here to support you however we can do that. Tell us how we can help.
Yeah, you got some events coming up soon too, right? I'm only asking because we're getting close to that time where I'm gonna have to either cut you loose. And I hate to do that because I'm gonna have a part 2, right? You're gonna have to come back, right?
I'll come back. I'll come back.
Okay. So why don't you tell us about some of the shows or some of the events that you have going? You're an artist, are you not?
I'm an artist.
I'm just asking. I've seen that some of the African works and stuff that was laid out, and
no, those were actually gifts that were given to me, and I just happen to love African art. I think the Black woman is beautiful. I love the color of my, chocolate mocha skin. You know what I'm saying? And my curves. And listen, I love being a woman. That's all I can say. I love being a woman, because there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. But for the most part, my artistry is in my business. My artistry is making sure that other people are okay. I have a love for helping people. I have a love for empowering the community. I have a love for just being there for someone and, letting them know that I can't tell you that it's going to be okay because that's the first thing in nursing they tell you. I'm a nurse by profession. And the first thing they tell you never is going to be okay because you don't know that it's going to be okay. But what you can say is, I'm here for you. If you need me, I'll hold your hand. I'll pray with you. I'll give you a hug and let them know they have a place where they can come when they need that moment to be with someone else.
I'm so fortunate that my wife is a nurse, right?
Yes.
Nurses. Yeah, my little diamond in the rough, she's a nurse. But I'm gonna tell you, that bedside manner sometimes with the family members, man, leaves a little bit to desire.
Sometimes you gotta show a little tough love,
Oh, sometimes you guys with the family, I see you guys at work. You're such a nice, sweet, beautiful people. Get home. I got a little cold. I hear some cough syrup. Just go on. I'll stop being a baby.
Yeah, it's hard, but you do it out of love. It takes a special person to be a medical professional, especially a nurse, because you just got to give a lot of yourself to help other people, you know. But I know we're going to show on time, so I really want everybody to know this. So come this Saturday, on Saturdays, I host a women's brunch. Okay, it's our 2-hour self-care Saturday sessions for women only. Guys, I'm so sorry you can't come to this, and ladies, leave the kids at home because this is only for you. It's 2 hours for us to get together and, you know, support each other, empower each other, you know, create positive social outlets. We have brunch, we have conversations, and we talk about all things womanhood because you know what? Sometimes you just need that space. You need that space to be able to say, you know what? Today, I just need to be able to vent without guilt. And that's exactly what it is. It's a space without guilt. It's the first and third Saturdays of each month at Metamorphosis office. Okay, so this Saturday we are having Galentine celebration. Okay, and ladies, you're welcome to come by. Come see Metamorphosis. Come meet me in person. I'll be there. We're gonna have an Italian brunch and stuff. We're gonna play some games. We're gonna give out some gifts, and most of all, we're just gonna get together and do what girls do because girls like to have fun. So that's the first thing. Next Monday, okay, in a partnership with State Representative Tara Probst. Yes, Metamorphosis will be hosting our second Carpenters Union interest meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday. Okay, for anyone who's interested in a union position, men and women interested in a union position, it's on the job paid training, it's 401k, full benefits, you know, and the starting salary is a livable salary. Okay, come check it out, find out. We need to get people back to work, and the best part about it, if you do have anything on your criminal background history, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But the one thing that will happen if you did come is that if you did have something on your history and you've been off of probation for at least 5 years and you have not had any other contact with the criminal justice system, we can help you with expungements, and we can also help you apply for a pardon. Okay, so please come see us on Monday. And then April 4th, Metamorphosis will be co-hosting Luther Vandross So Amazing. Luther's So Amazing at Kalahari.
I heard that you wanted me to come down with my cameras and stuff to record and everything. I think that's what I heard.
Hey.
I wasn't exactly sure. I just, you know, maybe it was that dream that I was having, but I could have sworn I'm supposed to be there with my cameras, making sure that I record and get this information out.
Listen, if you're a Luther fan, Luther was a big advocate of education and such, and we want to honor him and, you know, talk about the man behind the music and the legend and everything. And it's going to be a wonderful night. It'll be a night of, you know, dance. There it is. There it is.
Ask me a question.
Yeah.
How's that?
His birthday is April 20th. So
want to see something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So
and I got about 15 more of them just like this.
All right. Well, the family's getting together and we're celebrating, you know, music, the legacy, and his birthday is in the month of April. And so we are celebrating him on April 4th at Kalahari. There's a cocktail hour from 5 to 6. There'll be a walk down Luther Lane where you can come and see some of his awards and, you know, memorabilia. see the man behind the music, look at the family pictures and
You
stuff
know, it's
like
so nice that you invited my wife and I to come down so we can make sure we get this recorded in history.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And also, if you look down at the bottom of the page here,
Yeah.
we're scrolling across the board. This is at the PAEmpowermentNetwork.com. That is our webpage. So we
Yes.
will make sure after the show we'll get all this information, and anybody who want to find it, it'll be right there on our webpage, right there available for them. And any other events that may come up that she'll have, they will all be listed and posted there, because when you click on the link, it'll take you to her.
Sounds good. And the last one, I promise, the last one on April 11th, Metamorphosis is hosting its biannual Woman to Woman conference. Okay. And it's a conference that's put together to empower women. We will talk about, overcoming feminine fatigue. Being tired of being a woman and all that entails. How do we deal with that on a day-to-day basis? We're going to talk about getting a seat at the table and creating a seat at the table, getting through doors that are traditionally not created for us. We'll also be talking about removing the scarlet letter and how do we support women who are coming home in re-entry, and how do we empower them and help them to get a fresh start. And then finally, we'll be talking about disparities in women's health care. What you don't know might kill you. Okay. And we'll be talking about Black maternal health, because that's Black Maternal Health Week. So we'll be talking about Black maternal health. Why is it that Black women die more, before and after childbirth than other women? Why is it that Black and brown communities are dying more from hypertension, diabetes, breast cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, all these things? Why is it that women are just second? Why are we second-class citizens? Why are we being revered as second-class citizens in the medical field? So there's a lot going on with Metamorphosis.
I just want to let women know, just to let the women know, I usually run a little thing here, but women don't get prostate cancer.
No, women don't get prostate cancer, but men do. Black men do. Yeah, right. Men in Black and brown communities do. So
I know right. As well. So unfortunately, we've been friends.
Yeah, even though the conference is woman to woman, talking to the disparities in healthcare, disparities in healthcare and stuff really does encompass information for our communities as a whole. So even though we will be talking about women's issues, prostate cancer, if a woman's husband has prostate cancer, it would be necessary for her to know what to look for, what to test for, what questions do we ask when we go to the doctor with our husbands and say, hey, listen, something's not right. He complains of this, he complains of that. It's about education, and everyone should attend. Everyone should attend, because you know what? If you have a sister, wife, daughter, niece, cousin, friend, girlfriend, whatever, if you know a woman, some of these topics will pertain to that woman. So men, you should be in the office or in the audience, just as much as women are. Okay, I'm done.
Hey, the only words I can think of to say is Ashe. All right? Ashe, sister, Ashe. You keep doing your thing. I mean, regardless to whatever was said, I truly appreciate you. I have to do my little interview thing, so I'm not trying to trip you up. I just have to ask the questions that someone else may want to ask, and make sure that we get that information out to the people properly. So don't forget to send me your information once we're done, so that I can load it up on that webpage so it can be seen. And I want to thank people for opening up my webpage. I opened it up the other day. I had just putting it up. I don't think it's been up a day, and I got almost 2,000 views on the webpage. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. So let's keep this thing rolling. On that webpage, we also have a recommendation of books. I'm one of those like your father. I'm not at that age, but I was one of those back in the '60s that they didn't teach you how to read and write very well, and I actually didn't learn how to read or write until I was about 13 or 14 years old. So when we talk about literacy, I'm very much big into that. Ever since I learned how to read, I pick up every book I can. So, and I really get disappointed when I hear people who don't have learning disabilities, but yet they don't want to learn. Just don't want to learn. And there's so many things that have been whitewashed with our history. We know that. So why not unwash them? Why not get the truth out there and actually put something forward to the truth? Maybe if we come together as a people, we may really can fight for some real reparations.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. Once you've learned something and you lived it for so long, to unlearn what you've already known all of your life is really difficult.
Yeah, sure is.
You're when someone's in their 80s and you're asking them to do a full 360 and start something new. A lot of times people don't have the capacity for that. They just want to enjoy those golden years. So, we have to, but as a community, we have to meet people where they are and then help them from there. A lot of times we set expectations of people because you and I may have high expectations because that's the environment we were in. That's what what we've built for ourselves. But not everybody has the same high expectations because a lot of people don't think they can achieve it, and the one thing I can say is we can achieve it. It can be done. You can have the same thing as people in a Caucasian, Asian, any other community. You could have the same things. You just have to work for it. But do so understanding that for us to have half of what they get, we got to work twice as hard.
That's a damn shame. I hated hearing that when I was just growing up. That's been something that stuck with me all my life. But
yeah,
I really hate it when I hear people say that. But again, in order for us to grow, we're gonna have to all grow together. Because if we don't grow together, as my man said, we would surely hang separately. So we're all gonna be hung. We can do it together, or we can do it separately. And it seems like that's kind of the way things have been going. Well, somebody says hello.
I say let's do it together. Let's do it.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm saying let's do this here together, man. Let's rock this world. Let's become like Burkina Faso with my man Ibrahim Traore and the brothers and sisters over there trying to reunite Africa to make it one Africa, if you want to say. Regardless, we even know the original name, but they're trying to bring themselves back together. Why is it that every time we as a people start trying to bring ourselves and lift ourselves up, we're known as criminals, thugs, gangsters, and always to seem to be on the wrong side? If we want to build our own community, they tell us, why don't all you black guy people just move all in the same area and you go start your thing and you'll be good to go. Well, we did that over and over again. Every time we did, they burned it down, beat us up, did all kind of stuff. Well, the Black Wall Street, you were talking about Harlem. Look at Harlem now. Look at the gentrification in Harlem from when you grew up in Harlem.
Yep.
Okay, I remember Harlem. I worked in Harlem for almost 20 years with the phone company, and right over there on 128th Street and Common Avenue. I know Harlem and I know it well. Used to eat at Pam Pam's on 145th Street every morning. So,
but I mean, we didn't do it on our own. Listen, redlining is real.
Well, we didn't have much redlining in New York, right? I mean, think about it.
Did we not? Because think about projects.
Other than Central Park was actually all black at one time. It was like a little black town, and that was about the only redlining that I really know. You know, I mean,
then what
we always had the segregation. I grew up in a time when I was born, we were already segregated. We were still segregated. Integration
Right.
didn't come until afterwards. And then the effects of integration didn't even come until later on. I mean, I didn't really know that we were integrated more or less until the mid 70s or so. Because even there were still places you didn't go here, and no, you know not to go there. So we still had this segregation thing going on even through the 70s, I think even up through the 80s. So anyway, we're gonna have this part 2, right?
Part 2.
I need you to come back and continue to educate me, because I know very little and I'm trying to be like this sponge. So a lot of the things that I may say is based on opinion and not so much fact. Okay.
Well, listen, I believe this. We learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? So you learn from me, I learn from you, and then together we grow. And I think if we take that attitude with a lot of things in our community and stuff, we can grow as a people. And I'm more than happy to, you know, start the charge and stuff. But yes, I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much. You know, I love the conversation, and yes, we will have to do it again.
Have to do it again. Make sure your folks tune in too. All right, I'm going to take you off the screen and I'll be right back. All right, hey, my name is Kendall Stevenson. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to the Empowerment Show. All right, we had a great guest on today, right? We got to give her we definitely got to give that young lady her props. Hopefully she'll get an opportunity to come back for part 2. Now, remember, tomorrow it's Thursday. And Thursday we start up around about 5 o'clock with the Daughters of the Divine Joy with Miss Diane Butt. Afterwards, we should have Mr. Chris Matthews on with Sharing Your Light. We hope you guys tune into their shows as well. And don't forget about our Mental Health Mondays. That's a really good show. So please tune in. That's Mental Health Mondays with Chris. Again, my name is Kendall Stevenson. This is the Empowerment Show. I'd say be who you're going to be, because only you can be who you're going to be. Everybody else is taken. Everybody else is taken. So, tap and peace.